getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to the USRA GT3 Global Challenge. This is round number 6 of the season, coming to you today from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. My name is Ron Mullins. Charles Beauchel will be joining me in the commentary booth in the not too far off future, but for now, I have got working double duty at the present moment here on this show. Mr. Joshua Wilkie with me here in the broadcast booth. Josh, welcome in, and welcome into Montreal. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, an absolute staple of Canadian motorsports, named after a Canadian motorsports legend and the host of the Canadian Grand Prix. I absolutely adore this track. It has had some slight alterations over the years in the scan that we are running on here today. Bit on the dated end, but this track I still think is a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron, for sure. This is one of my favorite tracks for sure. It is a challenge out there. This is a technical track. Kind of wears you down mentally a little bit. It wears the car down a little bit as well. So I'm expecting a pretty good race tonight in this impromptu USRA race on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
Yes, it's all of you USRA fans tuning into this broadcast, as that's Carson rolling with a spin coming out of turn number 6. But to all of you USRA fans tuning into this show, not usually where you'd see the USRA Global GT3 Challenge, but we are here today. We've been able to cover some USRA events in the past, notably the sizzling Sebring 180 endurance race and the Independence 400 a little bit earlier on in the year, back in the summer. But now we're here in fall. We have got a great race to look forward to. Qualifying just about in our rear view mirror with about 3 minutes left on the clock. Want to run through your class pole sitters as it stands at the present moment. Michael Odell, a driver that I have experience covering in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors here on SMB, is your current provisional pole sitter, 133.817. He's in front of the driver of the number 98 car, Ernie Francis Jr., a real-life racer, slotted in P2. You look in the pro sport category, Kurt Bassler is your current pole sitter there, with Alexi Vigland is alongside Vigan, my apologies, qualified in 5th at the present moment. And an AM Scott Mowry currently holds on to the pole in that class over Carson Rowland. You can see the rest of the drivers lined up there. But Josh, I think we could probably best describe this as the calm before the storm, because GT3 cars around a track like this, you don't really see that combination too often in real life, or even the sim for that matter.
Yeah, it really isn't very often around here that you would see that here in Montreal. They definitely get some Porsches here. There's definitely some Porsche Cup racing around here. It's probably the closest thing that I've seen, at least broadcast live. And man, the curbs around here, you know, the GT3 cars can munch curbs pretty good, but there are some big curbs around here. There's some really, really big braking areas around here. It's pretty narrow as well for some of these big GT3 cars. Some beautiful machinery out here. Actually, we have a little bit, we have a few Austins out there tonight. Really, really excited to see exactly how those race. I haven't had a chance to actually broadcast one that the Austins are in, I don't think yet, so that'll be an interesting one. But it's going to be quite the challenge for the GT3s around here, especially with 3 different classes out there all racing at the same time, looking for position. And I think we're probably about halfway through their season. I'm not sure if it's 12 rounds, but usually it is, so this should be about halfway, meaning there's probably a lot of points open, and I do believe we have a little bit of points we can get to at some point here. Not sure if we can pull that up quite yet. We don't have a graphic for it, but we can probably touch on them a little bit there, I believe.
Yeah, I think in this 1 hour and 5 minute long race that we have to look forward to here tonight, we'll probably have a decent amount of time to take a gander at those championship point standings as we head off through this 6th round of the championship. And looking at the calendar here in the USRA GT3 Global Challenge, awesome races already in the rearview mirror. You think about the season opener at Laguna Seca, then we head off to Circuit Zandvoort, Brands Hatch, ended up racing at Circuit of the Americas last time at, and the rest of the races to look forward to: the Red Bull Ring, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, the Roval for the second to last round of the championship, and Interlagos all the way on November the 20th. And already seen a lot of success for various drivers. Currently split on 2 wins is Michael Odell and Ernie Francis Jr. I mentioned a little bit earlier on. Ernie, a driver with real life experience. Most recently, he's stuck out to me as a competitor in Indy Next a couple of years ago, but I'm very well tuned into the IndyCar side of things there, so I'm definitely a little bit biased there. An SRX winner, and of course a Trans Am legend here in the US. But now we've got a race to look forward to, and before we get up and rolling with this 1 hour and 5 minute long race, let's take a look at tonight's starting grid to run through the order before we head off into this race here tonight. And starting this race from the pole position will be Michael Odell, the driver of that number 56 Corvette, will be your pole sitter here tonight. Joining him on the front row will be Ernie Francis Jr. We have Alex Berry starting this race in 3rd, next to Kurt Bassler in P4. Alexi Vigan will start this race in P5 alongside Wade Maskovitz in the number 94 machine. Scott Mowry will start this race in P7 alongside Grayson Trexler in 8th. John Houston will start this race in 9th, with Carson Rowland rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, and then 11th we have Cole Francetic, I believe that is. Sorry if I butchered that one. Rory Stumpf is in P12. In P13 we have Angel Rodriguez. In P14 we have Zachary Garrison. In P15 we have Michael Peak, and P16 is Ben Lawrence, and that'll round out the last of our field.
And so there we are, 16 starters here tonight at Montreal. Everybody just calls it Montreal. No one really calls it Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but this very intriguing circuit, similar in an odd sense to the Belle Isle Street Circuit in Detroit. Both street circuits that are basically half street, half park, half purpose-built racetrack, just driving around a artificial island. Well, actually, this is an artificial island. Belle Isle's on an actual island, but you still get the point. It's a very intriguing blend of things on this racetrack. We talked about the sports car connection a little bit earlier on, and not really running open-wheel cars around this track. Of course, hosting the Formula One Canadian Grand Prix, so that's kind of where this track got its name. However, this track is has some sports car connections to it. We have got ourselves Porsche cars that run here with the F1 Grand Prix every year, and NASCAR used to run here a decent number of years ago. This scan was actually done when the NASCAR Nationwide Series, as it was called then, the current Xfinity Series, soon to be O'Reilly Series, ran at this track many moons ago. So there is some sports car connection around here, even though it's mostly known for open wheel.
Yeah, definitely mostly known for open wheel around here. You know, it is obviously out on an island here in Montreal, and they only set it up a few times a year. Mostly, you know, there's really good viewing around this track as well. I've actually, unfortunately, I live in Canada, but never had the chance to make it out here during the F1 race. But from what I hear, you can see the little our fans standing in the background there. There's some really good standing room only around here. A really great track, super awesome challenge. I think a lot of drivers really like this place too, and I would imagine everybody out there is kind of looking forward to getting this one started.
Yeah, I think all the drivers throughout this field are bracing to see what this race has in store. Gonna be a tough one for these competitors, maybe a race of attrition. Let's just find out, but we welcome you all here to round number 6 of the USRA GT3 Global Challenge here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, as we're waiting for that green flag to come out with that pace car down pit lane, waiting for that green flag to fly, which it is now, and the drivers are on their way. Looking at some scrambling a little bit farther behind, but side by side, a drag race between Ernie Francis Jr. and Michael O'Dell. They had their way down to turn number 1. Francis got actually chewed up and spat out of P2 as a brilliant move down into the turn for Alex Berry, going to jump his way up into second. And Kurt Bassler actually got moved on Francis as well. So not a good start from Ernie Francis Jr. in that Lamborghini. Don't really see the Lamborghini get used in iRacing GT3 racing, but he's in that car right now, and not really doing him too well on that start. But as we see Michael O'Dell head his way off in through 5 and 6. He is your current race leader. Alex Berry slotted in P2, the Pro Sport driver of Kurt Bassler, your current Pro Sport leader, holding on to an overall podium spot as it stands right now. Scott Morey currently leading him in AM.
Yeah, that was a really nice clean start here through the first section of the lap. We're looking pretty good so far. Not an easy spot to get through there. So many cars, and we sorted it out really well. Took a really nice lead there from Michael O'Dell right off the bat. He's pretty commanding start here so far. It's actually pulling away a little bit by the looks of it as well. We'll come back to that shortly here, but pretty clean start so far on. Never know into this champions corner here at the end, though. This is probably, you know, the corner you think about all lap. There is a few corners here that you're just thinking about pretty much the entire lap. Sometimes you have a track where there's one that stands out. Here there's 2 or 3, maybe even 4 corners that stand out that you're thinking about every lap, and this is definitely one of them.
As you can see him clobbering the curbs, heading off through the final chicane, avoiding that wall of champions as best as they possibly can. Had a bit of a spook from Angel Rodriguez, who went for a dive off into the hairpin. He holds on to P13, lucky number P13 at the moment in the number 14 car. Not very fitting how that works, as he's currently being challenged by your P14 runner of Roy Stumpf in a number 69 machine. Nice. We look at Scott Mowry, your current AM leader, holds on to a nice gap to himself and your current P2 runner in the AM category of Carson Rowland. Right behind him is Grayson Trexler in that number 45 car, the Pro Sport driver, holding on to P4 in the class as it stands at the current moment, and just about mid-pack in that category as it stands presently. Here is your Pro Sport leader of Kurt Bassler, the Canadian behind the wheel of the 396 car, looking to have a good run on home soils. Actually, there's been some trouble with Scott Mowry, your AM leader. He's dropped down all the way down to last in P16. What has happened to the driver of the 880 car? Had to have been all through one of the chicanes.
Yeah, we'll see if we can't get a replay here quickly. And it looks like maybe all on his own here. We're not seeing anybody else around him. And yep, going to be all on his own. It looks like Josh just a little bit too much of the rear there, perhaps at the wrong moment. And he's going to do the right thing and just wait for everybody to get by here. And we're back on track again. Unfortunately, lost some time, but doesn't look like he took too much damage.
Yeah, just a quick little spin. I think the only thing that was bruised in all of that outside of his tires, which would probably been turned into rectangles, may potentially be his ego. That was a tough start from him. He was running good. Now is on the back foot. We'll have to make up that time between now and the end of this race. Thankfully, though, he does have time on his side as we still have an hour and 2 minutes just about left in this race. As we look at side-by-side battling going on right behind. That's a person, Roland, involved in the battle with Ben Lawrence as they had their way down off through there. Roland, one of those drivers that, as you said a little bit earlier on, Josh, campaigning that brand new Aston Martin, just added into this version of iRacing for Season 4. That car is looking fantastic, sounding good as well. Roland in the Subpar Motorsports number 90 machine holds on to the final spot inside the top 10.
Yeah, this has got to be the nicest sounding car in the service, I think, now. I'm going to claim it. It's definitely the nicest sounding car, probably one of the nicest looking cars as well. Pretty awesome livery on this one as well there. I'm pretty sure. Oh, we got somebody off there. I'm not sure who that was. It might have been Alexis Velglant there, I believe, was perhaps off there. We'll go back and have a look at that. But yeah, I had one of these mats on the floor when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's a good looking race car. I don't care who you are. That is a nice looking machine. As here was the moment for Alexis Vigant as we see him heading his way down into turn number 6 and 7. A spin down in there and trying to get that car turned around as quickly as he possibly can. The 5, 6, and 7 section here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve has caught out many people before, both in perfectly calm conditions and rainy ones. Don't have rain to worry about here today, but a driver learning the hard lesson, trying to break off into that chicane section while you're still heading off through turn number 5.
Yeah, that's, you know, like I was mentioning before, there's a few corners on this track you think about every lap, and that one for me is probably, you know, up until even recently, probably my least favorite corner. Well, as we got a side-by-side here. Again, he's going to try to make a position back up into T1. Not going to quite make that one happen yet, but yeah, not an easy corner there at all. It's asking so much of the car and of yourself. You're getting crossed up, trying to get some curb, trying not to take too much curb. So many things going on there. The track kind of falls away a little bit over the top of it. And we'll see he just got a little tripped up as he's going to grab one position back there at least to put him up into 10th place.
Yeah, that was Cole Francetic that he actually overtook there, and the 404 car had a big sideways moment heading off of turn number 2. Holds on to P11 as it stands at the moment, but maybe struggling for grip in that Aston as he yet again has another snap heading down the back straightaway. Yes, this is basically a straightaway on this racetrack. Not a lot of long flat out sections around here, frankly. You've got that run between 7 and 8. You've got the run between 9 down into the hairpin at turn number 10. You've got this section here, which is the longest straight line blast on the entirety of the racetrack. That's even broken up with the chicane before you head on to the start-finish straightaway. Either way, though, driving off into the sunset currently is Michael Odell in that number 56 machine. That Corvette is on rails at the moment.
Yeah, Michael Odell. Who could forget that that picture down there? Clearly at some sort of get-together or shindig of some kind. There, I've actually raced Michael Odell a few times in the SRFs and one of our other series here on the Weekend Warriors you can catch on Sundays on Slow Motion Broadcasting here. But he is a great driver, always clean, super fast. Seems to kind of know all kinds of machinery here too, Ron. He's putting some laps down today.
Yeah, that is also a very nice looking car. So he's got a good looking race car. He's got a interesting, shall we call it, photo here. That one's gonna haunt my nightmares. Happy Halloween, everybody. Oh boy, Alex Berry in the number 83 car going to have a photo that I think probably is my sleep paralysis demon after coming back from car show. Not touching that one. Ernie Francis Jr. holds on to the final podium spot. So the driver of that number 98 Lamborghini, the only Lamborghini in this field, has been able to mount a charge since then. I'm looking through the races that he has won up to this point in the season for Ernie Francis Jr. has put on some good drives off the back of Yeah, he's off the back of 2 straight wins in the October 2nd race and Circuit of the Americas last time out. Montreal, definitely a bit of a different circuit compared to all of that, though. But, Josh, I believe we do have Mr. Charles Beauchel with us here in the booth now. So I'll let Charles get himself situated here, and I'll pass it off to you for some final words before we send you back into the production truck and lure you in with a bottle of maple syrup.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to get a few words in edgewise here, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good one here, and I'll pass it on to Charles. You guys have a good one and enjoy.
Well, welcome into the booth, Charles. Happy to have you with you. And man, you've joined in about 8 minutes into this race. It's already been a little bit hectic in this, gotta say, interesting combination with GT3 cars running here at Montreal.
Yeah, it's not something you normally hear at Montreal with the GT3s, and I've been involved in some of these races. It's a very tight track for the GT3 cars, obviously quite a bit bigger than the Formula cars you're used to seeing here, and some of the corners are very, very difficult just trying to get these cars around. But yeah, a little argy-bargy there as I'm sitting here watching the replay at the start of the race, which is about what you would expect for the start of this race, with the run down into that, basically that little keyhole hairpin, and we've got a nice the 550 car there. Just a little spin there, avoiding the wall. I'm not sure if that was the wall champions or not, and still just continuing on. I would think that I'm trying to think about which car these would be kind of the overall favorite, and I'm not really sure. I think the Porsche will handle some of the corners better, but I'm not sure it's going to have the pace to be able to sit out front. And I haven't really seen a lot of the Aston stuff, but obviously that's not what you want to do. You don't want to put the nose into the barrier. So you want to get the car routed back around. So we'll settle in here, and as soon as I find a way into this race, we'll jump in and we'll kind of keep an eye on it with you.
Yeah, and that's actually Zach Garrison in the number 27 car has had a cacophony of issues over the past couple of moments. That's a second moment, I believe. That actually may have been the other. Oh, there we go. He got hit. I believe that was Garrison and potentially Michael Peake, as the other driver of the 77 car is currently slotted in P15 and then the 777 cars. We've actually got a caution at there on the racetrack, so the yellow flag out, and that's the reason for it. T-bone accident coming at turn number 2. Both of those cars substantially wounded, and gonna have to bring both of them back into pit lane, but the caution is out for the first time in this race. And Michael Odell, a driver that we're rather familiar with here in the SMB world, holds on to a good cushion that is now going to disappear as a result of the first yellow here in this race. That is going to bring the likes of Alex Berry and Ernie Francis Jr. right back into as we take a look at some more of the drama that was going on there. This right here is here at one point AM leader Scott Mowry in the 880 car coming to blows with himself, and I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken looking at that was the 9 of John Houston and the BMW. Contact being made as they headed their way down in through the final chicane, hitting the wall of champions. Side by side through that section in open wheel cars is usually not going to end poorly, but in GT3s you can just crank up the disaster that's going to go on there by about 15 notches.
Yeah, absolutely. Still early in this race, and we haven't really got just now getting going good. So it's going to be we'll see what the caution holds, and we'll let everybody get the field cycled back together, and give them a chance to catch their breath there after a pretty hectic start, and we'll see how long we circle the course here during this caution period.
Yeah, so still running around this racetrack at the current moment, just keeping the juices flowing under these yellows. We'll go through the field as it stands currently, and your current class leaders: Michael Odell, top of the board in Pro. Kurt Bassler has been able to extend a quite good cushion in Pro Sport. However, that cushion set to disappear as it's going to be Wade Maskovitz right behind him in that number 94 car come time for this restart in the not too far out future, and Carson Rowland in the number 90 machine holds on to the lead right now in the AM category. About 12 minutes and some change into this 1 hour and 5 minute long race. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast, we hope you are enjoying the action. If you are enjoying the action, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action right on cue there to show off the graphic. But as it stands currently under yellow, we can take a quick little breather and we can fully bring you into the fold for this show, Charles, and kind of give ourselves a nice little break before any sort of chaos may go on a little bit later on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to get, even for the announcers, it's a good opportunity to take a little bit of a breather during these caution periods as these cars get cycled back around. And yeah, it's going to be I think it's going to be a good race. And I see my dad out there in one of the cars, and I won't say the name because then they'll tell you what my middle name is, and we don't want that happening. So either way, I'm looking forward to it. Now, this is really, it's a good track. Once again, it's a little difficult for the GT3s here because of the size of the cars. Some of the cornering is difficult, and but it's still a really good track. And then the draft on some of these straightaways is going to make for some interesting battles down into some of these corners here, especially this one, the final corner going in, as we see a couple cars, looks like they're heading into the pits for a nice stop, maybe get a little bit of fuel and top off. And as we are watching the thing, you see the cars coming in there. It looks like there's a lot of takers for the pits. A couple cars decided to stay out, so we've got some early fuel strategies starting to work into play here.
And Wade Maskowitz going to be able to jump out into the lead, but you're at 1 point race leader Michael Odell going to be slapped with a black flag on pit entry. Now, we're not sure if that's a pit lane speeding infraction or an unsafe pit entry violation, but either way, Michael Odell picks up a black flag as a result of this pit stop. Let's see what happened here to the driver of that Corvette. I think I may have goosed the throttle a little bit. Very tricky to actually spot where the pit lane speed starts here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. You have to go through that kind of limp-wristed chicane before you actually have to get slowed down to speed. But Michael Odell still stopped there in his pit stall, waiting to see our 1 point AM leader of Scott Mowry exit out. He's got BMP 14 on exit. But that's going to be a big kick in the shins for Michael Odell, who is in the comfort zone, really just cruising along. Now he's going to be on the back foot big time and has a lot of ground to make up at a track that, even though chaos can brew, can be a little bit difficult to get a move done.
Yeah, it's it's not so much as the time lost is going to be negligible, obviously, because they're still going to be under caution, so he'll be able to come to the back. It's the number of positions that he lost on the track. He's got all that. He's got to make some passes now to get back up toward the front. It just seemed like that was a little bit unnecessary. I know he goosed the throttle there. Once the pace car made his turn, he goosed the throttle there to maybe pick up a second or two, but not realizing that it doesn't matter because the rest of the cars are just going to close back up to him after the pit stop anyway. So seemed maybe a little maybe overthinking things just a little bit. We'll call it that. So now he's going to have his work cut out for him as he drops down to P15. So he's going to have a few cars out in front as I'm looking at the Simpsons logo car sitting there leading the race as Homer is slowly ducking back into the shrubbery.
I gotta say, we've got some darn good paint schemes out here on the racetrack. That is, I like that. That's very, very nice. So Wade Maskowitz gonna be running in a very nice looking race car up at the front of the field, but he is not alone in terms of the drivers who stayed out. It's himself. It's Cole Frensetic in the 404 car that's currently slotted P2 in the Pro Sport category, and of course P2 overall. And Michael Peak has actually stayed out there on the racetrack in the AM category in the 77 car. So 3 drivers out of the 16 cars that we have here today decide to stay out during that first yellow. But either way, no matter how you slice it, already have some interesting strategies afoot here tonight. And even with those racers who came down pit lane, probably going to be running some different calls in terms of how much fuel that they put in and all that jazz. Looks rather uniform, but there may be some deciding to do something a little bit different in this upcoming stint.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, obviously with a 1 hour and 5 minute race, they don't have enough fuel on board to complete it without making a pit stop. Even with a full tank, you can't go an hour and 5 without, I mean, you know, God level fuel saving. It's just not possible. So they're all going to have to come in for, at least for a splash of fuel. Some of the drivers decided to come in early. Some of them may come in a little bit later. They're going to have to give up quite a bit of track position unless they get another caution, which is going to make it easy for everybody. They'll be able to come in and top off, lose a bit of track positions to the field as they come through, but they'll be right at the back of the pack as they cycle around and be able to continue racing. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
As I can see, the lights are out on that iRacing pace car, so we'll be getting them up and rolling in the not too far off future here. 18 minutes already gone by here in this 1 hour and 5 minute long race. Alex Berry, top of the pros. Wade Maskowitz, your current overall race leader, top of the pro sport drivers, and Michael Peake slotted in the final overall podium spot, top of the AM competitors, as he briefly gets abducted by a UFO. Hopefully that issue will be resolved before we get this race up and rolling, as we'll right on board with Maskowitz in the very funny roof cam, because you could just see Homer upside down peeking his head through the shrubbery. That is top tier stuff. That, I'm gonna call it right now. I'm probably gonna clip this into a YouTube short, because that's just goofy, just having that rather ominous as well, just Homer staring up at me upside down. That may be haunting my nightmares for the next couple of days, in fact.
And he's not backing into the shrubs, he's backing into the air intake in the front of the car. Once again, love a good humorous paint scheme. So well done by Wade there. Setting out front, he's going to lead us down as we got the pace car lights off. So we're going to be going racing. We come back around to the start finish line. 20 minutes or so gone in the race, and we're getting ready to fire it back up.
Yeah, that pace car is back down pit lane. It's going to be Wade Maskowitz leading us back to green here in this race tonight, stacking them up as they head their way down the start finish straight away. Green flag back out. He's got napping at the lights. As look at that, jumping out big time was Cole Frenzetic as he tries to make a move, as he's actually going to get pans here, side by side racing and contact being made. Holy cow, co-scorer stuff with Alex Berry. Lots of drivers stacking it up, going off the track. There is your race leader. Big drama there for Maskowitz as he spins, heading off through the turn. I think there's contact. There's himself the 444. A big contact being made. Ben Lawrence gonna get fired off into the outside walls. They had their way through the 3 and 4 chicane. The 95 there, that's Alexei Vigeland in the number 95 car Porsche, holding on to any sort of spot that he can. We were expecting drama here. We've most certainly got it. It's still not over though. Vigeland gonna give the chrome horn to the back end of, I believe that's Kurt Bassler, that goes off the track there. There is so much stuff going on there that he can't even keep track of the action as we run on board with Michael Odell. He's made his way up to P7 after restarting this race pretty much all the way at the back of the pack. He's broken his way up into the top 6, just avoiding the drama like the plague.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job by him to Odell to stay out of trouble there. Is Behari. I'm going to say I'm sure that's not the proper pronunciation, but that's the best I'm going to get for right now. As he's taking over the lead in that BMW, the red and gold of the Iron Man BMW there, taking the lead. Just some really, really vicious hits there on that restart lap, as cars were just really kind of confused as the braking points. There was one of them that's so close, I kind of jerked back away from my monitor because it looked like I was being hit in the face by Aston Martin, I think was the car that was involved. And there we see the little spin there as a little pit maneuver as the car comes around, and Aston staying off the track there, letting everybody work their way through. And then we're going to get another one there right there, and that's that Aston Martin on the back of the BMW, as you see the BMW going into the wall, and able to continue on. But yeah, just really, really rough racing there at the restart.
I'm going to amend my statement. The car going off the track, that was Michael Peake in the 77 car. We just followed his perspective and all that, heading down into turns number 6 and 7. Yeah, we were expecting drama on that restart, and Yeah, I think we most certainly got it there. So
Yeah.
it's been a hectic start, a hectic restart, the first one of this race. Alex Berry driving off into the sunset. Ernie Francis Jr. slotted in P2. In all that drama, the pro sport category has probably been the one that's gotten shuffled the most, as that's Kurt Bassler trying to get him moved on John Houston for P5 overall, and P2 in that pro sport class. It's currently being led by our P3 runner of Grayson Trexler. So it's Trexler from Houston, from Bassler, from Vigen, and Maskowitz and Francetic are slotted in P10 and P12 overall in this field right now, as Zachary Garrison had a pretty rough run of things. You can see 3 minutes and 17 seconds stopped in the pit stall alone, as there's a car of Maskowitz. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage on that race car, and based off the paint scheme that's on it, we'd probably be able to spot the damage unless he was off in the grass.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. And yeah, look, the car looks okay. And it wasn't much of a hit. It was just the, the perfect corner tap there from the car behind that just kind of broke the rear end loose, and around he went. So no real damage to the car. So now he's back on the charge, back up to P9. So he'll be trying to fight his way back up. Looks like he is. Looks like Homer is mad, and he's coming.
See, I would make a Simpsons reference, but I've never really watched The Simpsons, so that would not go over.
It's only
well.
been on for 30 years, Ron. Come on.
Yeah, it's only been on for 1.5 times my entire life, as that's Kurt Bassler getting a move done. You can see him running off into the grass as he had his way underneath the bridge, heading down into 8 and 9. Bassler getting that move done to break his way up into the top 5. That scrap with himself and John Houston. They were alone in that. They aren't anymore, as there's the number 95 of Alexei Vigen holding on to P7 overall as it stands currently. These drivers going to once again scrap out for this for the final couple of spots inside of the top 10.
Yep, still some good battles on track, as we see Garrison now with a slowdown. He's going to have to work that off and cut a corner somewhere, and have to get that cleared in a very short amount of time, as we see with Trexler coming around the final corner with a good run. But see Odell back up to P3, having a good run, and he's on the charge. He's only 2.2 behind Barry in the lead. And so he's trying to make his way back up to continue this battles. We're going to be on board with him. See him trying to work to the inside. The 396 car not wanting to let him get through there, but kind of just really just stays in it, forces the issue, takes the inside line, gets through in that corner, is able to get out and start stretching that gap, and is now looking for the next car coming down the next corner. That's the 95 car there. And you see him just getting almost 2 for 1 there. So he gets through both those cars on the next two of those 2 corners, and is setting sail, and now trying to track down the front group.
And you can certainly see on the front end of Alexei Vigen's Porsche, that number 95 car is looking slightly sad as a result of the chaos on that restart. And I'm not sure if I'm sure that damage is probably still on the car. Survey says yes, It is. It looks like somebody just pushed down on one side. It looks like it's half closed, like one half of it's open, the other half is fully closed. It's I have seen cars driving around the city of Philadelphia that look very similar to that, and they haven't been involved in racing accidents in a rough start on a very small street track. They've just been on their regular commute on I-95.
yeah, and that's a classic Porsche, front to rear, collision marker. Where somebody just checked up in front, and he just gave him a little shot from the back, and then you get the little U shape in the front of the Porsche car, and you continue on. You lose a little bit of overall top speed just from the aero drag changing a bit, but overall not terrible, as we see Angel Rodriguez around getting a little bit of help, I believe, there from the car behind with the Tracker Bass Pro Shops liveried car. I like that. That's a very NASCAR livery.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to think if that's like a Noah Gragson, like Junior Motorsports flashback, or is that like a Chase Briscoe paint scheme?
Well, I'd go all the way back to Martin Truex Jr. Ran that livery a lot for Junior Motorsports and for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. So that's just me.
Oh, here's a fun little fact here. Story time with Ron here, as these drivers going to try and interrupt my story time. We actually have a battle for P4 at the moment, and the lead in Pro Sport. It's Grayson Drexler trying to hold off any sort of challenge from Kurt Bassler in that 396 machine. He was your leader in Pro Sport before those pit stops went on, and we have got a convergence of 4 drivers up the front of this class trying to battle, scrape, and claw for every single spot that they can get, as we also have a battle for the lead in and between Scott Mowry and Carson Rowland. I believe they're right at the tail end potentially of a battle with themselves, and Cole Francetic as well. As here we go, Bassler looking down the inside, heading down the backstretch into the final chicane, thinks better of it. That was a source of drama a little bit earlier on in this race. I think these drivers going to yield that warning and say, you know what, I'll look for a move at just about every other section of the racetrack.
Yeah, I've got some bad memories of that last chicane there coming down the front straight, which we might go into later when it's story time with Charles. But for now, we'll just continue on with the race. The 94 car just losing the rear there coming out of that corner. And we got to be careful with that back up there and that rejoin. Now we can see a little damage on the front of that car as he kind of peels it off the Armco there. But just kind of a lazy, it's almost like a traction control spin in the GT3 cars. It's just a lazy spin that for whatever reason you really can't do anything with. You have to wait for the car to stop before you can actually get started again.
Yeah, that is the quintessential GT3 spin. Just like slowly but surely looping around, no matter what you do with the steering, the gas, the brake, the clutch, shifting, doesn't matter. You could say a couple of prayers and you're not going to recover from that spin. It's just like a slowly but surely turning around, and we got a move heading down into the hairpin. That's Kurt Bassler diving down the inside and through into the Pro Sport lead. He's gonna go. Grayson Drexler now gonna have to worry about a challenge from John Houston, the number 9 car right behind. Look at that BMW. Got 4 different cars, 4 different makes, and 4 different drivers, obviously, in this battle for the lead in Pro Sport. You got Kurt Bassler holding on to that Pro Sport now lead in that Porsche. You got Grayson Drexler in that McLaren. You got John Houston in a BMW, and I'm actually going to amend my previous statement. Alexi Vigant is in another Porsche, but still got 3 very different cars, and 4 very different drivers have had very different runs thus far in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And but it's good to see. It looks like we've got battles in every category as we now have Rowland passing Mowry as Mowry comes into the pits to give up P8, and Rowland's going to take that position over. As Mowry comes in, he's going to take his stop here. But as I was saying, three battles in all 3 classes. So looks like some really good racing as we see Rodriguez there trying to track down Rowland. He's got a bit of a gap to make up there, but sitting comfortably in P2 in the M class for the time being.
Yeah, so we have seen a decent amount of pit stops break out. I believe we also saw Corey Francetic and Wayne Maskowitz come down pit lane. Wade Maskowitz, my apologies, come down pit lane not too terribly long ago. So still do have a sprinkling of drivers coming down pit lane. I tried to mix sprinkling and trickling and came out with trinkling. That can add that to the words of wisdom for sure. John Houston, the number 9 car, has a slide heading out of the hairpin as I'm breaking out the thesaurus here tonight. Alexi Vigant in that number 95 car, gonna try and give him a challenge. Will he go for the move? Heading down into the final chicane. It's not a good spot to get an overtake done, but it's enough to rattle a driver's cage, as we've already seen that number 95 car get involved in some physicality at this stage of the race. Gotta hold on and not go for the move heading off into the final chicane.
Yeah, pretty smart. He's just going to kind of hang out for a bit, look for the prime opportunity to make that move. As we're on here with Alex Berry leading the race, 1.7 over Ernie Francis. Michael Odell's caught up to Francis now, only 0.3 back, so he's going to be looking to battle here in that black and yellow Corvette. Working his way behind the Lamborghini. It's good to see the Lamborghini out on track. I never see it anymore. So nice job by Ernie Francis to run one of the older cars in the GT3 class.
Yeah, and the Lamborghini and the Corvette kind of have similar dimensions as
Yeah,
well. Bit on the lower end, bit on the wider end. They look aggressive. They've got some aggressively shaped headlights, but different eras of GT3
yeah,
racing. Frankly, I mean that Lamborghini, I believe, now is the oldest GT3 car that we've got on the service. And you look at that Corvette. It's still on the newer end. It is not the newest as a result of the brand new Aston Martin being brought in here for season 3, but that Corvette is still on the newer end. I think it's coming up to about a year since it was
yep.
added in to the service, but a year in iRacing really does not feel like it. Feels like forever, and it feels like no time at all.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I mean, you say it's only been on the iRacing for a year, but since then we've had the Mustang, the McLaren, and the Aston Martin coming into the service. So it's not by no means new anymore. And of course, I think it was the same time, or about the same time, that the Audi got its upgrade as well. So it's just it's a constant evolution with the iRacing and their car packages. We've got Roland now in the pits giving up P8.
Carson Rowland trundling down pit lane in that number 90 car, comes in that AM category. Give the AM lead to Angel Rodriguez in the number 14 car. And as I was going to share and reference that number 14 machine not too terribly long ago, gotta hold off on that. Michael O'Dell just got moved on Ernie Francis Jr. Whenever I try and break off into story time with Ron, that's when the action goes on out there on the racetrack. Here we go, side by side, heading down into the hairpin. Who's going to win out in this battle? Michael O'Dell and Ernie Francis Jr. duking it out. Two very different looking race cars, two very similar looking race cars at the exact same time, but two different ends of the spectrum in the GT3 world on iRacing. You got two very talented drivers behind the wheel. You got 2 wins apiece, and they're now battling for P2. Lots of twos in the span that period of time, but look at Ernie Francis Jr. He ducks out to the outside, heading down the backstretch into the final chicane. Not the right spot to get a move done, but it does rattle the cage of O'Dell a little bit. Gonna get a slow run out of it onto the start-finish straightaway. Now here's the time to pounce if you are Ernie Francis Jr. in that number 98 car. He's gonna do it. He looks for the outside down into turn number 1. Odell super deep into the braking zone. Francis gonna cut around. He may try and go for a switchback out of turn number 2, but Odell, even with that slightly askew run off through the first couple of corners, gonna hold on to second place.
Yeah, a good run by Odell there, but Ernie Francis not ready to just give that position up. Great battle here between the 98 and the 56 car as they're battling tooth and nail there. And the Corvette is, imagine if the Lamborghini and the Ferrari 296 had a baby. You'd get the Corvette. I think it's about as close to seeing both those cars on the track. The Lamborghini front end and more of the Ferrari tail section. And I'm American. I love the Corvette. I'm just saying, don't at me.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when they brought out the Ferrari back in 2023. It was. I was covering a GT3 series back then, and I remember the entirety of that preceding show after they brought that car at mid-season onto iRacing. Everybody was just like, "Oh, look at how cool and futuristic it is." Now it feels like one of the older GT3 cars. It's
Yeah.
I think the only ones that are older at this point are the Lamborghini and the BMW.
Mercedes.
Oh yeah, the Mercedes.
Yeah.
I will never get over the fact that the Mercedes is that old, because I had the Mercedes before this one. I had that car. I also had the Audi before this current Audi.
Yep.
And in a small little break I had on iRacing, I returned, and one of those, I think both of them actually at that point in time were clicked over to Legacy.
Maybe so. Yeah, I owned both the original versions of both those cars as well. And that the Mercedes is due for an update, whether we get one or not, because it is still, the package that iRacing has is still using, I believe, that 6.2 liter V8, which has been kind of nerfed in real life down to a 5.5 liter V8, which is still a lot of engine. So if anybody's due for an update, it would be the Merc and the Lamborghini. But I don't think the Lamborghini is going to get one. I think it's going to go bye-bye eventually as more and more of these cars that get put out there. We've still got a new Toyota coming sometime in the next century for the GT3 series. So we'll see what happens. But it's still my favorite class to drive. I just love driving the GT3 cars, and so I give all of them love when I can, because they're all good in different ways. They all teach you something a little different, and then you just kind of fall in love with which one you like more. You like the rear engine, the mid engine, or the front engine, and you've got multiple options of those to choose from.
Yeah, the general sports car renaissance that has gone on iRacing over the past couple of years has been a absolute marvel to see. Whether it be the new generation of prototype cars with the GTPs coming in, all 5 of them now. You got the Ferrari, you got the Acura, the BMW was the first, and you also have the Cadillac and the Porsche, the 2 that I actually own on iRacing, have a massive refresh of GT3s. The GT4s are getting updates done as well, and even lower level sports car racing. You'll look at the likes of I think it's a BMW M2 that they added in a couple of seasons ago. Wondering what may be next. I would love to see them add Janetta Juniors, because I remember driving those cars in Project Cars 2, and that would be, I feel like, a good spiritual successor to the old, God rest its soul, the legend, the Pontiac Slostus.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've driven the Janetta as well in Project Cars. I don't know that it's going to make it to iRacing, but it's good to see some of the single make racer brands come in with the Ferrari 296 Challenge car. Hoping we see an eventual Lamborghini Super Trofeo, maybe a Ford Mustang Dark Horse rears its ugly head coming in at some point in time, as we have a battle here between Maskowitz and Francetic there for P12, as Maskowitz is coming back and trying to make some gains off of that spin that he had earlier.
Yeah, trying to run it back and run back into the podium spots. Has about a 2.5 second gap to himself in your current P3 runner in Pro Sports. We look at Kurt Bassler. Oh! Bassler with a horrendous collision. That's coming out of the 3 and 4 chicane. Hits the wall on the inside there, and that is going to take him out of contention. He is well farther back from where he once was. Just had to spend 2.5 minutes down in pit lane, as there have also been some drama involving Michael O'Dell in the number 56 car. Yes, there was. Big spin. 360 as he headed his way off through 1 and 2, kept it going. That's about as slick and smooth of a spin as I think I've ever seen in a GT3 car. O'Dell having a wild moment. Let's ride on board with Ernie Francis Jr. and his perspective of all of this. Look at that Corvette spinning around like a top. As soon as he hit the curb on the grass on the inside of turn number 2, looks like he hit a oil slick.
It did, and I almost think that he hit that curb, and I saw the car kind of jostle a little bit. I don't know if that was enough to cause that. I maybe wonder if he downshifted there. Maybe it was a little bit of a diff lock involved in that as well, as he's coming in, because it was a pretty sharp, maybe just oversteer and just losing the rear of the car, almost lift off oversteer like you would see maybe in the Porsche. But good job to keep it off of everything. Good job by Francis to avoid the spinning Corvette. They can continue on, but Odell's lost a couple of seconds as we're on board here with Scott Mowry, the 880 Porsche, coming down into the hairpin. Really wide entry there. Pretty nice exit. Don't see anything. I think that might have just been a wide entry and off track there as he was coming into the hairpin.
Yeah, very easy moment to have, to be sure. A lot of curved braking zones here, as that's Grayson Trexler. Drama for him in the number 45 car, and that has some pretty big no! Rejoin there. Number 95 right behind. That was Alexei Viglin in that number 95 Porsche coming up, and really nothing that he could do and all of that. Was just going to note that had consequences in reference to your Pro Sport battle. John Houston's been able to jump onto that Pro Sport lead and making contact down into turn number 1. Was just noting the curved braking zones here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. You think of turn 1, curved braking zone. You think of turn number 6, curved braking zone. You think of this hairpin, curved braking zone. Lots of curved braking zones, but there's more drama to add to that as well. John Houston, in the midst of all that, has picked up a black flag. Now I'm going to look through to see whether or not that could have been for incident point violations. I will stand by and give you further word on that here soon. But either way, a black flag in the air for John Houston. That's going to have rather big consequences at the top of pro sports.
Yeah, and just he was trying to open up the corner. I don't know, because the McLaren behind was kind of in his blind spot. Don't know that he actually saw it, but that is not a great rejoin there by the McLaren coming back onto the track. Just gave the Porsche nowhere to go. And you saw the Porsche losing its front bumper, and then the spoiler cover, and then obviously the McLaren losing his rear bumper from the contact with the BMW.
And
here we go, battle again.
Yeah, yet again, these two have basically been itchy and scratchy thus far in this race. Ernie Francis Jr. and Michael Odell have been inseparable ever since the drop of the green flag, as they are still duking it out. Francis doing a little bit of lawn mowing as he headed his way out of turn number 7, and look at Odell trying to do a repeat of what he did on the restart right about 22 minutes ago. Tried to go for a pass off into the grass, do his best Dale Earnhardt impression, but not going to work out, and he still holds on to P3 at the present moment in that Corvette. Will he go for a move here soon down to the hairpin? Let's just wait and see. Do want to touch though on your pro sport leader John Houston with that black flag. Looking through, I believe that was issued by Series App and Trevor O'Neill in race control, so that is not down to incidents. However, you do pick up incident penalties at 17x as your incident point limit, and then every single 7 incident points following that. But John Houston, I believe, was issued a black flag, very much probably due to that contact down off into turn number 1 and 2.
Yeah, so not a now racing penalty, but being called to the principal's office. So obviously, John Houston, admins are keeping an eye on things, and that was they said that was not a nice thing to do. So come in and start a penalty. Not sure what that penalty is going to be, but it's either going to be a drive-through or maybe a stop and go or stop and hold, as he's going to have to serve that, and it's going to cost him obviously some time. And it's going to cost him some positions, but we've still got quite a bit of racing left, as you just see. Once again, just trying to open that corner up a little bit, just carried it a little too far over, made contact with the McLaren. You see the McLaren coming back on. There's a Porsche right there behind, and you see the Porsche with the international iRacing symbol of "I don't like you," the headlights flashing on the Porsche. So as we see, there we go. Looks like he's in the penalty box, in the sin bin, as they say, serving his penalty.
Yeah, so he is going to be taken out of contention. One driver out of contention right now, Zachary Garrison, the number 27 car. He is out of this race, currently classed in P16. Left the session quite some time ago, so that will be the currently the one retirement that we have from this race. I don't even think it was a matter of just a misjudgment. I think he may have just lost it heading down in there. These cars, of course, do have ABS and traction control. However, I say this with all love in the world, because GT3 racing is some of the best racing that I've gotten to cover on iRacing, as Michael Odell thought about going for a move on Ernie Francis Jr. as he's currently being held up by a lap car, but Odell picked up a slowdown as he headed his way off through that final chicane. That's going to hurt out his cause quite a lot, as Francis now gets that lap car taken care of. I believe that was the 404 potentially of Francetic, so that was him getting that move done down off into turn number 1 and 2. But no, just want to say, I love the GT3s, but they're big, lumpy, and very heavy cars around a scan of a track that I think by the time they scanned this place, it may have been in the 1 year in recent memory, with the exception of the pandemic, obviously, where F1 wasn't racing here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. They didn't race here in 2009. I think that may have been right about the time the scan was done, maybe a little bit later on, but it was certainly when NASCAR was racing around here. You could tell based off the way the pit lane set up for NASCAR, the way the pit building, which has been under construction since 1868, was still in its old form. And based off the advertising around here, this track is pretty far different than what it is nowadays. Even though it was an F1 track at this point in time, either whether it be in 2009 at that point, it wasn't on the calendar, or whether it still was, it's not a smooth track, this. And in these cars, you can feel every single bump in certain braking zones.
Yeah, this is a purpose-built track for Formula racing. and it's good to see the bigger cars out here. But once again, this is not perfectly suited for GT racing. It's definitely not suited for NASCAR racing for sure. So because those cars barely turn corners, they barely turn left. They don't like going right at all. As we see Odell making the way through there around the Aston Martin, trying to track down Francis after his slowdown. I was going to say I thought he got a good run out of that final chicane, but it was too good of a run. As we see some leaves and grass flying up in the air, as Francis, I believe, took a little too much of the grass there coming out of that corner. But Odell is starting to work his way down. He's caught him already once. I don't see why it wouldn't be that he couldn't catch him again, unless the tires start going away on that Corvette.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if Odell can mount a charge as we get closer and closer to the end of this race. Everything looking a little bit more spread out. However, we may have I was going to say we're going to have a battle between Wade Maskowitz and Cole Francetic, as Francetic actually just picked up a slowdown penalty, which you can tell based off the yellow graphics on our wonderful SDK graphics here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. If you're enjoying the action here tonight for round number 6 of the United Sim Racing Association GT3 Global Challenge here at Montreal, well, you better hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. I think Josh can preempt whenever I'm about to give a plug like that. He gets ready on that button every time.
Yeah, got that down to a science there. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know, do the normal social media things. But yeah, it's you know, we've always got something going on here. You know, even when we get a pop-up GT3 race here in the middle of the weeks, it's good to be out here with USRA. I really enjoyed doing their I believe their NASCAR event a while back. So yeah, it was great fun. Happy to be back on board for this GT3. Even though I came in late, I do have a doctor's note, so please forgive me.
We will accept that doctor's note. You know, actually, well, I was going to share the story of how one of my dad's old customers was actually, I believe, Martin Truex's Jr.'s aunt, because I am from the city of Philadelphia. Me screaming into the microphone throughout the show probably gives that away. As that right there, kind of bringing me on to that, is Angel Rodriguez with the spin, the number 14 car. That's heading his way out of the hairpin and actually come down pit lane right now. I do want to touch on a driver that is still in pit lane. John Houston had that drive-through penalty a little bit earlier on. We're not sure if it was a drive-through or a stop and hold, but I think he stopped one pit box short, towed back to pit lane, and even with that quick little tow, that will add in a bit more time to you being in the pits, but he just hasn't rejoined us. That's Alex Berry coming into the pits from the race lead in the number 83 car. Fascinating stuff to see this call from Berry. Already had a pit stop a little bit earlier on in this race. Gonna make that a second. I wonder if we're gonna see a flurry of drivers coming in for quick splash and dashes, as that's Berry getting abducted by a UFO as well. Hopefully that will not affect his run down pit lane.
Nope, doesn't appear so, but that is very long. Yeah, he's definitely got a connection issue there, but it does show him in his box or on pit lane. So kind of wondering, he's back out. Did he actually stop, or did he get 0.7 of a second? So is that a stop and go? Or was that taking a fast? I'm not even sure. How about that? Maybe it's just a missed timing because of the connection issues. It's probably screwed our SDK software up, because it's hard to compute something when it's not there.
Yeah, there's only so many times that you can whack somebody's computer system with a taser before the computer system starts to develop some faults, as it turns out. I'm looking through, actually, Barry as I think has regained some connection. I'm not sure if just like, I don't know, the other, like, I don't know, mouse just bit his Ethernet cable or what the deal was there. But either way, Barry is back out there on the racetrack. Oh, I jinxed it. There
Yeah,
we
you
go.
did.
He's back out there on the racetrack. I'm going to change the subject to avoid that number 83 car blinking in and out. And then I'm probably going to have Alex Barry be very upset with me once he calls his internet service providers. That's Ernie Francis Jr. gunning it on pit entry. I was worried that that was going to be a pit lane speeding infraction, but he's now in the pits. It'll give the race lead back to Michael Odell. But Francis, now the latest to come down pit lane.
Yeah, we'll see what he's going to do as he comes down pit lane. We're going to stop here and we're going to get a little bit of fuel, maybe just enough to get to the end of the race. Kind of what it looks like. Yep, 5.8 second stop. So just need to top off the tank to get to the end. So maybe those cars that came in on that first caution flag couldn't get enough fuel in the car, and they were going to have to come back anyway. So they just made that second stop a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think that could potentially be it. Either way, though, Francis spending 34.7 seconds down in pit lane, looking on the shorter end compared to everybody else. You know, it's not a Formula One-esque pit stop. You're not going to be having 2 seconds in and out, no big deal. Of course, we are having to worry about fuel, but you know that's neither here nor there. We're not shooting the fuel out of a fire hose like they do in some other series. It's not the quickest fuel up in the world here, but Michael Odell, he's your race leader currently. Alexei Vigan is your race leader in the Pro Sport category, and Scott Mowry has been able to cycle out to the lead once again in the AM class, but still have a decent amount of time left to go here in this race, coming up to the final 12 minutes on the clock, and still 12 minutes for a lot of stuff to go down.
Yeah, still quite a bit of racing left with 12 minutes to go. So we're on board here with Scott Mowry up to P7. So leading the AM class, having a good run. He's got a nice gap to Roland behind, and we're just kind of wondering how many other cars are going to come into the pits. Porsche usually pretty good about fuel. One of the better cars as far as the GT3s are concerned with fuel mileage. But once again, I don't know that everybody's going to have it. So we'll keep an eye on these cars as they come into the pits, and have to take these little splashes here just to get to the end of the race. And it has a tendency to change up the finishing order sometimes, so you have to be very careful, with your stops, and you have to keep an eye on the cars on track, as we're out here with Alexei and Michael Peak sitting there in front. And this is Peak running in 14th, and I don't see Alexei on my screen, so I can't tell you what position he's in, but maybe he's running, as we see Peak running wide there, coming out of coming through turn 1 in the, I can't even say the name of the sponsorship on the car, but it is an Aston Martin.
And Alexei, your current leader in the Pro Sport category, holds on to P4 as it
there he
stands
is.
at the current
Yep.
moment.
Sorry.
Had to worry about a bit of lap traffic. Don't worry, it happens to the best of us. I remember doing a broadcast. I kept calling the guy that I was working with Dutch, which was perfectly all right, except for the fact the guy's name was Jim. So, it's quite all right. But the driver of the number 95 car of Alexei Vigan holds on to that top spot in the Pro Sport category, a class that has really been up and down. We have seen, I think, every driver in that class, with maybe the exception of Zachary Garrickson, who got trucked with a falling anvil rather early on in this race. Everybody else in that class has either led or been very close to it in that Pro Sport category. It has been super topsy-turvy over there.
Yeah, absolutely. As Odell now has inherited the race lead over Alex Berry, running on track. Ernie Francis down in third. So Odell having himself quite a great run here. Kind of wondering if he's going to have to make another quick stop into the pits to take a little bit of fuel, if that's going to equalize things out. But you see Francis really on the charge here. Got some traffic in front. He's going to have to navigate his way through. But a couple of good spots here for some passing. He's got to get some good runs out of the corners to make some of these straightaways work for him a bit. As we're on there, seeing this telemetry, 140 miles an hour down the straightaway, making his way into this chicane, and then clearing out. And you see a little scrape there by the BMW. Obviously, BMW probably the widest car out there, the biggest of the group. scraping the wall there as coming through, as we see one of the Aston Martins just like it just the front never hooked up and went wide, and it's probably one of the AM cars that just kind of stand out of the way, but good job of clearing and letting these guys continue to race.
And that right there was actually your Pro Sport competitor of Cole Francetic in the 404
Okay.
Aston Martin heading down into the hairpin. And you're exactly right there, Charles. It just looked like that front end was not really cooperating. Really, I think probably be the most genteel way of putting it. As there you can see really darty behind Alex Berry is Ernie Francis Jr. He sniffs an opportunity. He's getting so close to the back of that BMW. Is that the lap car on the outside as they head their way off through that section of the racetrack? That may have I'm gonna hold off on identifying who that driver was, but either way, we have got ourselves a titanic battle to talk about at the front of the field. Looking at Ernie Francis Jr.'s perspective on all this, you can't really sense the tension, both because he's got a tinted visor and also the fact that the iRacing driver characters are usually rather soulless as he smacks the wall. Coming out of turn number 6 onto the back straightaway here. Actually, turn number 7, my apologies. But Francis, quick little mistake going to give Barry a slight reprieve.
Yep, so far he's able to just hang in front. Barry doing a good job up there of staying in front of Francis, but you can definitely see Francis wants back up into P2 here. Is having a good run. It's just got to get the proper run out of the corner, let that V10 of that Lamborghini do its work, but it's going to be very difficult. BMW, we talked about, the Lamborghini's pretty wide too, and then you throw the BMW, it's going to make the racing line a little bit tighter there with those two wide cars trying to fight down into a corner.
It's like a race between two limousines, but just the complete opposite way. They're a little bit short. They're just really, really wide. But no, it's going to be intense in the run up to the end of this race in that battle between those two. And you have to wonder the question about Michael Odell. What is he going to do at the end of this race? Holds on to a 20-second gap currently. And looking at the lap times that Odell has set compared to his competitors, really not tracking that slow. I mean, last time by was able to set a 135.1 compared to Barry and Francis, both in the 135.4s. So really, I mean, it's only about 0.3 of a second quicker, but he's still not like losing time. He's not bleeding the time away, and with not a lot of time left to go in this race, I mean, heck, we're coming up to the final 6 minutes. I wonder if Odell is maybe angling himself to just run all the way through to the end of this race. I mean, he did have that penalty. I wonder if he just decided to take the pain with it and come in, serve that penalty, and also just put in as much fuel as he possibly could.
Yeah, very, very possible that's what he's done. And if he did, great, the master stroke, as he's going to be able to win this race going away. Just noticed that, we speaking of that, and here he comes into the pits now for a pit stop.
Yeah, and that right there was true wheel knowledge from me. So if you like my job here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, why not write to us? I'm kidding. I'd still like to be able to get paid. Michael Odell now coming into pit lane. We keep an eye out to see Alex Berry and Ernie Francis Jr. where they are at there on the racetrack and where they're going to exit at. You'll look a little bit farther behind at that view on the start-finish straightaway. Berry going to be able to jump out in front. Ernie Francis Jr., something's going on with him this lap, because last time by was painfully slow. Ernie Francis Jr., see that gap has ballooned out between those two competitors. Ooh. Something has happened there, as here we go, Odell and Barry. Now the ones that have to battle for this race lead, Barry and Odell gonna shuffle, but Barry gonna hold on to that top spot for now.
Yeah, Odell wanted to get back in front as quickly as he could, but you lose a bit of tire temp sitting there in the pits, even for a short amount of time as you run down pit road. Just didn't have the tires to be able to get back up there and challenge. So he's going to sit there in P2, and he's going to get the tires back up to temp in very, very quick, a quick fashion. And it's going to be it's going to be a nice battle here at the end, as those cars look to be pretty much equal there as far as their lap times are concerned. You're right. It would be nice to see what happened to Francis. He's a few seconds back now when he was really challenging Barry, but he's like he is starting to pick up the pace a bit. And I just kind of noticed that John Houston is still in the pits. but has a meatball. So I'm wondering if he was just a little bit upset and was sitting in his car and the engine blew as he was just sitting there letting it idle for about 6 laps. And so just kind of wondering if that's the end of that for him.
You know, I think that might be it. That is a very good theory that you have there, Charles. And we have seen that before on broadcasts.
Yeah.
We have done drivers just stopped on the side of the road, and then all of a sudden, you know, very fitting that the engine in John Huston's car would do a good impression of a fog machine that you'd see on sale at Spirit Halloween, considering that we are in October. So, and speaking of Halloween, we head off to a driver putting on a very good race with a photo that will haunt my nightmares for many moons to come. It's Alex Berry, and as I say that, Josh jumps right back to it. So trying to give me some nightmares to worry about. I'm not going to get a single minute of sleep, folks, with that image in my head, but it has been a very well-driven... Oh, no! Odell! Coming out of turn number 7 as a sideways snap, double whammy into the wall, hits with the rear end, hits with the front end. He's going to try and get that car back up and rolling, but here comes Ernie Francis Jr., and right as we were thinking that Barry may have had the race in the bag, he's now got a 4-second gap, and Odell probably has some damage too.
Yeah, I just kind of was trying to check the car out and see what kind of damage. He didn't hit the wall hard. It was a glancing blow, but it was hard enough that it changed the angle of the car. He collected it with another corner. So, you know, you got to feel like there's a little bit of damage to it. It looks like it's tracking okay. It'd be good to get a cockpit shot and see if he's got any maybe left hand down in there as he's trying to drive. Nope, wheel looks pretty straight. So, you know, Chevy Power, Chevy Engineering has kept the suspension and wheels in the proper alignment. So he's going to be out there, and he's got to worry about the car behind instead of the car in front, and see if he can make up some time and keep Francis behind him for the final couple laps of this race. We may be at 1 to go or 2 to go last time by.
I believe we're on 2 to go this time by, with about 2 minutes left to go on the clock for Barry as he came across the line. But there's 2 major worries if you are Michael Odell. One thing is, is Ernie Francis Jr. not going to help out his case with another bit of contact? It's just the mirror effect of Odell, who hit with the left-hand side. Francis tries to replicate that with a whack on the right-hand side of his race car. If you sawed the cars in half, they would have one very good-looking race car and one that's probably ready for the scrap heap at the end of all this. But I was going to say that Odell has to worry about 2 things. He may not have any sort of left hand down or right hand down action, but he does have to worry about that steering maybe feeling a bit more janky in that car.
Yeah.
Also have to worry about the aero as well, but Ernie Francis Jr. and that wall contact that was made there going to help him out a lot as he holds on to an tenth of a second gap, I should say, as they head their way down into the hairpin for the second to last time in this race. In the meanwhile, though, Alex Berry heads his way onto the back straightaway for the second to last time here tonight, on track for a win. As long as he can keep it clean and keep it green, he is going to be spraying champagne at the end of this race. Again, win number 2 for him here in this championship. He won at Brands Hatch for round number 3 of the championship, and looks to win here in round number 6 as he begins that white flag lap. One more lap of racing action for Alex Berry in that number 83 BMW to cap off what has been a rather hectic race here at Montreal.
Yeah, it really has. There's been some really good battles on the track in all the classes. But now you can see Odell's desperately trying to pick up some time. He's got the gap down to under 2.5. So he is making up time, and kind of wonder if Barry's just kind of taking it easy, either because he just doesn't want to make a mistake, or if he's maybe a little short of fuel, as they're going to work around the Aston Martin there, the blue and white Aston Martin coming through that section of corners. Gets clear, but that allows Francis to tighten the gap up just a little bit more. It's down to a 1/4 second.
As you can see, Ernie Francis Jr., he has a spot open on that outside line. Odell trying to defend it, but here we go, coming out of the chicane. Side-by-side racing going to go on with Ernie Francis Jr. and Michael Odell. It's a battle for second. They've been battling all throughout this race, and even on the white flag lap, they're still going to throw haymakers at each other. It's Odell leading them down into the hairpin and coming at it for the final time as Alex Berry's on track for the victory. Is Ernie Francis Jr. going to be able to hold on to this? Will he be be able to get the move done, or is Odell on the clean sweep home? Let's see. Will it be a move from Francis? He has that spot on the outside, but overtaking down to the final chicane is oh so tricky. Gotta force him into a mistake. It may be a run up to the line. Barry gonna score his second win here in the USRA Global GT3 Championship, as Odell gonna win out in that battle with himself and Ernie Francis Jr. for P2 at the end of this race. I think Ernie Francis Jr. just fired it off into the wall on the outside turn number 1 as we jump back to the leader in Pro Sport, Grayson Trexler, in this number 45 car in what has been a wild race in that Pro Sport class. The two retirees are both in that category, and it's just been hectic, from drivers jumping out to the race lead, throwing haymakers at each other, getting hit by falling anvils. We have seen everything thus far here in this class, but it looks like Grayson Trexler going to weather the storm, on track for a win in that class, as Scott Morey going to finish a little bit farther behind him, on track for a win in the AM category, as it would be a battle with himself and Carson Rowland, but I think because of the way the time worked out, Rowland crossed that line with just barely enough time for him to be marked as already finishing this race. So Maury going to get the win in that category. There's Grayson Trexler with the win in Pro Sport. Alexei Viglan going to finish right behind in P number 6 overall, P2 of the Pro Sport drivers, with Wade Maskowitz set to round out your Pro Sport podium in third, as there's Scott Morey in a wild race in that 880 car, going to win this race in AM, flashing the lights as he does it. Morey wins in the AM category. Just a few more cars left across the line. Angel Rodriguez in P13, and Wade Maskowitz just crossed the line now in P8. P3 of the drivers in Pro Sports. But what a race here tonight, Charles. I mean, we were expecting Montreal to be a bit of a wild one in these GT3 machines, and that it most certainly was.
Yeah, it was a bit crazy, but it was really good battles. Like I said, in all three classes, and the drivers did a great job. I was expecting a lot more carnage, but I think for the most part, I thought it was a really nice job with everybody just keeping the cars under control. Obviously, very, very tight racetrack for these big GT3 cars, but great job by everybody out there. It was a fun race to call. It's just battles all over the track and some really good driving.
Yeah, that was super, super fun. What a race, what a night here on SMB. You know, we were expecting this to be a good one, and that most certainly has, but as we see a race winner, oh no, there go. Oh, and there we go. The rear wing briefly popped off like a misshapen Lego, but sometimes iRacing likes to play tricks on us. Oh, he's wrecking the joint right now. That's exactly what he's doing. You know, here on SMB, we do have a tradition over on the Weekend Warrior side of things of burning down at the end and just pretty much turning your car into a pile of aluminum foil out there on the racetrack. We're going to take a look at the results as we see that number 83 car get turned into an unrecognizable pile of metal pulp around the start-finish area. We'll let you know that Alex Berry is your winner at the end of tonight. Michael Odell comes home right behind in P2. Ernie Francis Jr. rounds out your podium in third. Ben Lawrence going to be the last of the cars in that pro category. In fourth, it's Grayson Trexler winning in the Pro Sport category class in P5. At the end of all this, Alexei Viglan is slotted in P6. Scott Mowry in P7. Wade Maskowitz finishes this race in P8. Should be noted, Mowry, your winner in the AM category. Cole Francetic is in P9 with Kurt Bassler running at your top 10.
Yeah, Carson Rowland finishes in P11. Rory Stump finishes in 12th. Angel Rodriguez finishes in 13th. Michael Peake in 14th. John Houston finishing in 15th. Zachary Garrison finishing in P16. I think that's the last car. Yeah, I believe so. And so there's your 16-car finishing order. Once again, really good race, some good battles, and it was a really fun race for me to be a part of.
Yeah, absolute pleasure here to be in the booth as well. Now, we've got some drivers looking to have a chat, and I think we'll start off with our pro winner here, Alex Berry, in that BMW. Getting the job done today at Montreal. He now joins us here in the broadcast booth. Nice sound effect there. Alex, welcome into the booth. Congratulations on the win here at Montreal. Your second win this season. How was it out there?
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of this track, so every lap was like agonizing, bro.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna ask you because I mean this track it's not really a GT3 circuit.
oh no, not at all, dude. You could feel it in every single turn. The car does not want to cooperate. You just gotta bang the curbs and pray that the car doesn't kill you. Pretty much is the whole like motto of this track.
It did not kill you at the end of the day. So I want to ask you how the race was as a whole, because that was a long one here, 1 hour and 5 minutes.
I mean, it's pretty interesting. Like at the start, we had that little kerfuffle, and then that first caution after that restart with like that huge little wreck in front of us. But after that, I mean, it was pretty much a smooth running. Like, since the caution was so early, I knew I had to pit at some point later down the road. So I decided, I'm just gonna pit like not late, but late enough to where I could hopefully just drive by the guys that didn't pit, and it worked out in the end. And lap cars were pretty gracious too. They were not a problem this time around. So overall, it's pretty fun.
It looked like a fun, if not maybe a little bit stressful of a night behind the wheel here at Montreal. Want to ask you about the next round of the championship as y'all head off to the Red Bull Ring for round number 7. What are your thoughts heading to that race in 1 week's time?
I love the Red Bull Ring. I think it's a great track, so I'm excited because it always produces great races.
Yeah, the Red Bull Ring is a bit more of a GT3 track than this, another Formula 1 track, but still going to be a pretty fun one to look forward to in 1 week's time. I hope y'all have a good race, but Alex, we'll let you give any thanks or shout-outs before we let you go and fully celebrate this win.
So shout out to USRA for hosting the race and dealing with all the officiating and such. Shout out to my whole team, KSM Productions. We had 2 drivers that had some unfortunate incidents this race, but they'll push through on. But yeah, shout out to those guys. I wouldn't really be here without them, so big thanks to them. And shout out to you guys for broadcasting it.
Yeah, I gotta say, from my perspective, it's been an honor to be a part of this show here tonight. Super fun, great racing, and also to have a chat with you here at the end of this race. Alex, well done on the win. I will say the photo that you've got on our graphics will probably give me some nightmares for the next week, but congratulations on the win, and looking forward to seeing you out there wherever it is in the not too far off future, man. Thanks for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you guys. Have a great night, y'all.
That we certainly will. That right there was Alex Berry, your winner here tonight. And Charles, do you want to have a chat with our Pro Sport winner of Grayson Drexler?
Yeah, let's bring Grayson in here and we'll have a conversation with him real quick. Grayson, congratulations on the class victory tonight. So talk about your race. There was some really good battles in all classes, but I think there was a really nice 4-car battle there during the mid part of the race with you and some other cars there in that Pro Sport category.
Yeah, honestly, I did not expect to run this good in this race at all. All week I've been having frame issues where after about 30 minutes in a session, I'd be running 10 FPS, and I fixed it with about 10 minutes left in practice. And I was slow in practice, I was slow in qualifying, I had never turned a lap here before this race, and then somehow I survived the restart debacle, and now I'm up here talking to y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the, as you were trying to come up to speed, what was the, where were you struggling the most on this track?
Everywhere, honestly. It's a flat track, and I'm usually better at tracks that have a little bit of banking to them, but just no experience on the track definitely didn't help.
Yeah, definitely. Once you get out here and you start experiencing this for the first time, especially in a GT car, you realize how small this track really is. It's not necessarily built for GT racing, but you guys put on a really good show tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, earlier we had that 4-car battle, and it was going pretty good. And then it sucks what happened to Kurt because he was probably going to walk away with the win, but it really helped me out.
There you go. Well, Grayson, I believe Ron said Red Bull Ring is the next round. So what are your thoughts about that?
Before the season even started, they did a hosted session for this league at the Red Bull Ring, and I ended up winning it. So I'm hoping I can run that back.
There you go. That's a good that's a good way to get prepared for it, is knowing that you've got that in the back pocket. So best of luck to you in the next race, and we'll let you get any thanks or shout outs and let you go celebrate your class victory.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all my KS media teammates, Michael, Houston, Alex Bahiri, all of them out here running with us. And then I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Madison, for tuning in and watching.
All right, Grayson, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next round.
See ya.
And that right there was your Pro Sport winner of Grayson Trexler joining us here in the booth. And we got time for one more chat, and we're going to have it with our AM winner, Scott Mowry, joining us here in the broadcast booth. Scott, welcome in. Pretty topsy-turvy race from your end at this wild racetrack for the GT3. So happy to talk us through this race that we just saw here tonight.
Yeah, I definitely have to highlight the topsy-turvy. You know, I qualified on pole for the amateurs, and then I thought I saw my race going down the bin when I spun it. I don't remember exactly which corner, but I spun and watched everyone just go past because I couldn't rejoin. I started making my way back through the pack. There's the caution, which helped a lot, and off of that restart of the caution, I just was a little bit aggressive, got past some people I needed to get past, and then it's just kind of smooth sailing from there.
Yes, I want to ask you about the strategy involved with this race, because we did see the pit stops play a pretty vital role in how things were going to shake out. So how are the nerves in terms of just trying to figure out the strategy as you're maintaining the chaos out there on circuits?
Yeah, I was actually involved in the collision that caused the safety car, so I was down at the back with some wheel damage and some aero damage as well. And I was kind of looking, because we don't allow the safety cars for the first 15. I was trying to figure out if I was able to pit and take tires and fuel as well while I was getting that fast repair done. And luckily I was able to, and then only had to do one small little pit later on in the race to add a bit more fuel, just a nice little splash and dash. And after that, it was just trying to catch. There was a guy who was up the road in front of me, trying to catch him, and he ended up having a little spin and just kind of went from there.
Yeah, but you walk away from this race with a win in the AM class. I want to ask you about your thoughts heading off to the Red Bull Ring for the next round of the championship.
I'm honestly really excited. I love that track, and it's one of the ones I think I should do a bit better on. I don't know how I can do better than a win, but, you know, maybe I'll be a bit higher in some of the other classes, higher in the overall standings. But, yeah, it was a great race.
Yeah, pretty darn good race from you. And hey, shoot for the stars for the next round of the championship. So a great drive for you here at Montreal. But Scott, we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go and celebrate this win here tonight.
Yeah, I just got to thank the people hosting the race, honestly. They've done a great job at adapting and finding some stuff that will help improve it in the future, and they're always getting better. So I just want to thank them for hosting all this and for the good racing.
Yeah, thank you as well for joining us here in the booth, Scott. Congratulations on the win in the AM class, and looking forward to seeing you out there wherever it is in the not too far off future, man. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations once again.
Thank you guys as well. Have a good night.
Yep, you as well. That right there was our AM class winner of Scott Mowry joining us here in the broadcast booth. And Charles, what a fun night of action here at Montreal. Final thoughts before we wrap things up.
Oh yeah, great racing. Much better than I would have. Just thinking about running GTs here, I wouldn't have thought that would have been as good as it was. But no, great job by all the drivers out there. It was a really good race. Lots of good battles all over the place in every class. Everything was pretty much up for grabs there until the very end. So I was happy to see it. And wow, Red Bull Ring next time. Love Red Bull Ring, especially in the GT3 cars. Believe it or not, they run really well there, and it's going to be a fun race to watch. So looking forward to the next round.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing USRA hopefully return here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in the not too far off future. But hey, we've got a lot of actions to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting as well. Of course, this upcoming weekend, we have got you fully booked with Weekend Warriors action. The Formula V Weekend Warrior is going to be running at Motorsports Arena Oschersleben in the rain on this upcoming Saturday at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Formula Ford's going to be running at Road Atlanta with the Spec Racer Fords running at Watkins Glen. The American Muscle Series is going to be running their final round of this current season at the Charlotte Oval. Not the Roval, the Oval. That is going to be a wild one. SRG F4 action going to be at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez this upcoming Tuesday. Then this upcoming Wednesday, we've got you booked out with the Extreme Motorsports Ferrari Road and Oval Challenge running at Michigan International Speedway, and SRG F3 action running at the Hungaro Ring. You can see all the stuff there. Gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. If you want to learn more about slow motion broadcasting, head off to the brand new website slowmotionbroadcasting.com. If you want to join the Discord server, you can using the link supplied in the link in the other YouTube channel here on the SMB YouTube page. But as for this broadcast here for round number 6 of the United Sim Racing GT3 Global Challenge here on SMB, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Mullins, Charles Bochelle joining me in the commentary booth, and Josh Wilkie working on the cameras and the graphics in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on SMB tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.